Welcome to the third of our four-part series on setting up customer pricing plans. In this lesson, we'll discuss the controls that determine how the setups are entered and how to enter the setups in the grid. A hidden application switch determines whether discounts are entered in the setup as a minus and markups as a positive value, or vice versa, so that discounts are entered as a positive value and markups are entered with minus. Since different legacy systems use this functionality differently, PartsWatch lets you continue entering the values as you're used to. Call customer support if the switch is not set right for your enterprise. And a system control available on the general setup screen determines whether you would rather enter pricing setups as margins or markups. If the field is set to markup, then the value entered will be the markup used to calculate customer pricing. If the field is set to margin, then the value entered will be the margin used to calculate customer pricing. Entering the value as a margin or a markup affects not only the pricing grid, but the plus minus 1%, 2 cell percent, 3%, default core percent, line item pricing percent, and overall pricing percent fields, as well as the display of margin or markup in the plus minus amount, plus minus 1%, 2%, 3% fields on the price lookup, item plan price, or Control D pop-up, and in the overall discount field on the invoicing screen. Here's an example of the margin markup conversion table. Contact customer support if a copy is needed. The calc field is used to determine what price and/or cost will be used at point of sale. Sell price for customer sell price setups. List price to add, edit, and delete list price settings. Core price for core price settings. P cost to set up all rules for calculating part cost. And C cost used to set up all rules for calculating core cost. The field is also used to filter the setups shown in the grid. If one of the values is selected, then setups for that type of calculation only is shown. If all is selected, then all setups display. When entering a setup, if the field is set to all, it will change to cell so that the setup is for sell price. Otherwise, select the value that will be calculated. Enter a line code or hit the tab or enter key in the line code field for all line codes. If a line code is not entered, hitting the tab key moves the cursor to the PN code field. Hitting the enter key skips fields without a line code. However, hit the shift plus tab keys to back up if any of those fields are needed. If a line code is entered, the setup will be for that line code only, and hitting tab or enter moves to the PN code field. Either key can be used, but keep in mind that the enter key must be hit at the last field in order to save the setup. Enter a part number in the part number field if the setup is for a single part number. If a part number is entered without a line code and the part exists under more than one line, you'll get the available matches pop-up to select the line code. If a part number is entered, the PN code, group, and class filters will be grayed out. But to limit the setup by PN code, group, and/or class, enter the filter value in the appropriate field. Next, enter the part price level that the setup will be based on. The next field is the actual percent that the price level will be increased or decreased in the calculation. The next amount field is used to change the part price by a set amount instead of a percent. And the two additional percent fields are used depending on the type of setup being entered. If the setup is for sell price, they're used as stacked increases or decreases based on the results of the first percent field. If the setup is for list, core, P cost, or C cost, the second percent field will change to cell, and entering a value in the level field sets the cell field to no, and if the level field is left at 0, then selecting yes bases the calculation on sell price. The third percent field grays out for all three settings. If the setup type is quantity break, the third percent field changes to quantity break for cell setups in order to enter the quantity that must be sold in order to get the price break. The quantity break field grays out for all other calc types. All setup types can be effective without a starting and ending date or be limited to a selected date range. For multi-store enterprises, if a location is entered in the location field, then the setup is for that store only. If the field is 0, then the setup is for all stores. Setups can be available for parts that are stocked only, for NIF, write-in parts, or parts that are sourced at point of sale only, or they can be set up for all these types of parts. The last 4 fields are available for the calc type of cell. Enter a Y in the NT field, and if the net flag is checked in the part table for the part, it will not be included in the calculation, or enter an N if it should be included. If the BP for best price field is set to Y, then the setup uses best price. N and best price isn't used, and if E is entered, best price is used, but does not include the customer's base cell level when calculating the best price. VP allows velocity pricing when set to yes, and does not use velocity pricing when set to no, and allows price rounding when the PR field is set to yes, and doesn't use it when set to no. The net, best price, velocity pricing, and price rounding fields default to no if a value is not entered. Hit enter at the last field to save the setting and move it into the lower grid. Double-click it to recall it for edit or deletion. The setups are sorted in the same order that they're searched in at point of sale. However, the displayed sort order does not include the customer's base cell level, which is the last setting checked by point of sale. The system displays, searches, setups with just a line code and a part number first. Then it displays, searches, line code settings with filters in this order: PN code, class code, and PN group, then PN code and class code, then PN code and PN group, PN code only, class code and PN group, class code only, then PN group only, and then settings with just a line code. And finally, the system displays searches setups with a blank line code indicating all lines, with the filter set up in the same order that we just discussed. However, a part number cannot be set up without a line code. I know this was a lot of information to cover. However, we're getting close to ending our discussion on pricing setups, but we still need to cover best price versus setup hierarchy. So be sure to join us for the last video on customer pricing setup, and please wait until you've watched all 4 videos before contacting customer support with questions. And thanks for joining us.